As the Table Rock Complex fire becomes the #1 priority in the nation, strong storms are on the way for Monday, and the risk just got higher. Hi, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Justice, keeping you up to date on all of this. Look at the risk back toward the west today. It's in the high category. Not only that, but they have a risk for tornadoes breaking out here in similar areas that were impacted just 2 weeks ago. What a significant storm that was that took the lives of over 50 people. We have to watch that storm system closely because as it shifts toward the east tomorrow, we have been placed under a high risk for severe weather because this storm system slowed down a little bit, and it will arrive here in the western Carolinas and Georgia as we get into the afternoon and evening time, which is a much more significant time frame for severe weather. So as we watch this, let's break down the latest. So if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing, like this video, let me know in the comment section where you're watching from, and it always helps to turn on notifications to help you know what's coming our way. And anytime I do a video update or we go live for severe weather that's on the ground, you'll be alerted whenever it happens. So make sure you follow this page right here. So let's get right to what's going on right now because I have an update on the wildfires. That's important to start with because it is certainly impacting so much. And any bit of rain, any bit of increase in humidity is helping things out. In fact, as we look at where things stand this morning into the afternoon hours with the Table Rock Complex, which is all of this, there was some extra burning that was done last night to help contain the area. So the fire did grow, but it was as a result of firefighters actually growing the fire a little bit themselves to contain it. They say they've got a hold on it. It is actually now almost 10% contained, where we have seen no progress made. Today's humidity and the showers that are moving in are really helping things out, and that's going to help them get a handle on this as it even spread into parts of North Carolina. And you've also got the Persimmon Ridge fire right in here, so the two make up the Table Rock Complex, and watching it very closely, as well as the Polk County. But this one right here in South Carolina has become the #1 concern in the nation, so it's got all the federal resources going right there to it. But we've got a pattern that will help and hurt in some ways. We've got severe storms back toward the west, not for our area today, not in the Carolinas or Georgia. That threat is definitely going to be back toward Tennessee. This is the black hatched area that you're so familiar with seeing from 2 weeks ago, where there could be severe storms. And as I pull up the radar right now, we've actually got some regular old rain moving our way. I do expect some rain to continue to move on in this afternoon. Some of it could be heavy at times, and some of that rain is actually cropping up right there along the Table Rock fire area. So a good downpour is about to come on through. And again, one downpour, a whole day of downpours will not wipe out a wildfire, but it certainly helps. But the big risk is going to be back toward the west today, as unfortunately we're going to see tornadoes begin to break out in these areas. And I'm keeping an watch on the Doppler radars back toward Mississippi, back toward Alabama, as this area is going to be primed up for severe weather later today, including the risk for tornadoes again. So let's show you how that comes here tomorrow. You see, we're now placed in that orange, which is a high risk for severe weather. It's as the cold front moves on through. And as I look specifically at the risks in the Carolinas and Georgia, right now the tornado risk is in the medium category. We certainly do have a risk for a spin-up tornado or two in the afternoon and early evening hours on Monday. But when I look at the wind threat, it's in the high category. So winds will be our highest threat. Tornadoes will be a medium threat. And then, of course, there's going to be a lot of heavy rain that comes with it. So all that combined should help the wildfires, but I don't like any kind of wind in the forecast when you talk about wildfires, so that's certainly something we'll have to watch out for. So today we'll get some rain, and it's going to be scattered rain. You may hear some thunder, but I don't expect severe weather locally in the Carolinas today. Now, that is certainly ongoing back toward the west. This line is going to take on kind of a mean look. There's a low pressure back toward the west, so the wind energy here is going to be quite pronounced. As this rolls to the east today into tonight, these areas in Tennessee, parts of Alabama are going to see some rough weather. Now, that first line tries to die out tomorrow morning. Here's 6 a.m. Now, as we get into the rest of the day, we're going to be watching to see what survives out of that. This initial line may give us some early rain in the western Carolinas, which would preclude our severe weather threat. A lot of the models have shown that this early batch of rain comes in prior to this meaner line in the afternoon. So if that were to happen, that would kind of stabilize things out. And I think the severe weather risk would go to our south, really Atlanta, I-20 southbound. I've seen that happen many a times, and that's what this model right here is trying to show. And if that were to happen, that would try to rob some of the moisture transport up into our area. So we wouldn't get a severe threat, but we also wouldn't get as much rain. So we kind of want to be somewhere in the middle, if you know what I mean. We could use any amount of rain out of that. And then the main line pushes through, and we are drying out for a couple of days, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe even into Thursday, before additional rain tries to come in and a heat wave, which I'm going to tell you about here in just a minute. Yeah, we could be close to 90 in the Western Carolinas. Yeah, upper 80s to around 90. Let's look at the severe weather threat according to the high resolution model. It is off the charts later today in Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, into Tennessee, southern Illinois, southern Missouri. This area will certainly have the chance for some widespread severe weather, including tornadoes. Right in this area looks to be the hot spot for tornadoes, which could be large and long track tornadoes later today. That pushes into middle Tennessee, where it could be a long night of tornadoes, 7 p.m. through about midnight, and then it tries to die down. Now, as it rolls into our area, like I mentioned, if we get that early batch of rain, that's going to squash the severe threat. You notice there's a little bit of ingredients for tornadoes there, but not much. And then as the day goes on, it's really way south because of the fact that we get those earlier storms. That will certainly help matters out for us. Updraft helicity tracks. This is where we could see some spin in the atmosphere and rotating thunderstorms. I've seen a few small ones pop up across the area, but in this map, as I tell you, I look at the density, how many there are, and the intensity of them. Unfortunately, looks like several long track, large tornadoes are possible in Tennessee, Missouri, into Illinois, maybe even into Indiana, into Kentucky later tonight. That's going to be a really dangerous day today for tornadoes. So if you have family in Middle Tennessee up through Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, get on the horn and give them a call and let them know what's coming. I'm sure they know, but it wouldn't hurt to just reiterate, this looks big and bad. You got a guy in South Carolina that's telling you it's going to be bad. So let them know I told them to call you. All right. Or I told you to call them, right? And then tomorrow, it looks like if there's going to be a tornado threat, it would be in southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, and South Georgia. Not to say we can't get a severe storm that would accompany a tornado. I very well expect and are preparing for the fact that we could get a spin-up tornado tomorrow afternoon. But right now, the threat looks lower than our neighbors to the north and neighbors to the south. And the other model here, this is the NAM model, gives us some indication of it. Let's see how far the 12Z run has gotten into today. It looks like we do get some mid-morning rain out of the NAM model, which again, we'd have to watch these bands right in here, but this would give us rain and maybe a few storms, which, wouldn't be so bad. Let's just look at the severe parameters on this. First, the Cape, how much energy does it have? It's got a little bit. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, up close to 1,000. How about the tornado parameters? It's certainly higher I-20 Atlanta south, but it's not nothing for our area, okay, if that makes sense, especially Abbeville, Greenwood, southern Greenville County. So it's a marginal. It's a conditional risk. If we get earlier storms and rain, that's squashed. If we do not, we get severe weather. Does that make sense? That's why they call it a conditional threat for severe weather. A couple of things have to happen for you to get the severe weather threats. That pushes on through to the south, and there could be some isolated tornadoes in the southern part of South Carolina as we go throughout the day. As we look at the maps there, you see that threat much higher. How about rain? Because we need it, and we need quite a bit of it. A blend of all the models shows around an inch as we go throughout the day on today and tomorrow. If you get a thunderstorm, you certainly could get more. But up toward the Table Rock fires in Pickens and northern Greenville County, we're talking this darker red color, according to our key, would be 2+ inches. So some of those higher upslope areas where the wildfires are in the mountains could certainly get closer to 2 inches of rain, which again, that doesn't just knock out the fires, but it certainly helps matters and brings in a better condition. Folks, we're warming up. This week's going to feel a little bit like summertime once we get past early week. You're going to have the spring pollen like I'm dealing with right now, but look at the heat. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, a blend of our computer models is showing temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. We'd be close to 90, which would be teetering on record-breaking territory. That does come with at least a little bit of moisture and humidity because it's a southerly wind. So that should help matters later in the week as far as the humidity being higher, not just being so stinking dry for those firefighters. As far as the severe weather risks are concerned, some of the experimental data that I'm looking at here, especially this one, from Colorado State looking at tomorrow's severe weather risk for hail and tornadic activity. They're really pinpointing Atlanta southbound, kind of pinpointing the middle of the peak area, and hail and wind would be mainly in this corridor of Augusta to Statesboro to really even south of Atlanta. So that area looks primed up more so to me for tomorrow. If I were to draw a higher risk, it would be in that area, with our area being sort of in that conditional threat if a couple of things come together. If we do not get rain and clouds in the morning, if it's sunny and warm and muggy, we'll get some stronger storms in the afternoon. So we'll have to watch out for it. But again, it's a conditional threat. A couple of things have to happen for us to get that threat on your Monday afternoon and evening. How about the rest of the week? Boy, we got a couple of things to watch here starting Tuesday. Wednesday looks like another outbreak of severe weather. This is a deep low pressure system, creates additional severe weather ingredients, including wind energy, which could create more tornadoes in this area that just can't catch a break this season. Could be large and violent tornadoes. That front kind of gets hung up back here toward the west on Thursday, which is why we are going to start to get so warm. We're going to be on the other side of that front. It's going to bring in a lot of warm, unstable, muggy air. It's going to be quite toasty, mid to upper 80s as we go into the rest of the week with some degree of threat of storms because that front's nearby. One, it could give us rain. Two, it's so muggy and warm, it's like the summertime. We could get some afternoon storms at any given time. So, folks, again, I really appreciate you tuning in here. We got a lot to talk about here, and the best thing to stay informed would be to follow this page, like this video. Please let us know in the comment section where you're watching from. Subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications. I love when we can communicate here. I do look at the comments to see where you're watching from, and it helps me tailor a forecast to you and what your needs are. That's my passion. I love it on TV, but I love it online as well because we can kind of communicate back and forth on that. Folks, we'll have much more on WYFF News 4. I hope you'll tune in tonight at 6 and 11 o'clock and then all day tomorrow as we prepare you for the chance for storms.